Hey folks, this is Kalani. I've seen a lot of players who are still confused about one of the more important new systems in patch 9.1, the Shards of Domination. Collecting and using these shards can significantly increase your overall performance and potential, and there are even set bonuses to unlock and upgrade to beef up your character even more. But the way in which you can get shards, upgrade them, and even use them is kinda complicated. So we're gonna go through the whole thing in this video to make sure you never hear the question, how does Shards of Domination work, ever again. Let's start with the shards themselves. There are 9 shards total and they each do different things. The Shard of Dies increases your damage done to any target you damage, stacking up to 3 times. The Shard of Zed gives your helpful abilities a chance to give your allies an aura that drains health from nearby enemies. The Shard of Oath increases your speed stat. The Shard of Core increases your damage after attacking a new enemy. The Shard of Tell causes your crits to give allies a small shield absorb effect. The Shard of Kia gives you an absorb shield effect that stacks up to a cap. The Shard of Beck increases your damage when you have 50% more health than your target. The Shard of Jess increases your incoming healing and maximum health. And then the Shard of Rev increases your leech stat. Each shard also belongs to a certain group. 3 of them are frost, 3 of them are blood, and 3 of them are unholy. This becomes very important later on when we talk about set bonuses. All of these shards come from the same place for the most part, the Sanctum of Domination raid. Any boss you kill has a chance to drop a random Shard of Domination. It also seems like you can only get a Shard of Domination on your first kill of a boss each week, so if you go into the raid on normal difficulty and kill every boss, killing that boss again on any other difficulty, be that LFR, Heroic or even Mythic, will not increase your chances of seeing a Shard of Domination. That means we have 10 chances per week total to get a Shard of Domination to drop, regardless of how many different difficulties you clear or how many times you kill a boss in a week. 1 chance per boss per week. Sadly, this does leave your Shard of Domination acquisition down to pure RNG because it's random whether or not you're going to get a shard, and then it's also random for which shard you will get. So the unlucky folks out there might be waiting a long time for their most ideal shard setup, and then the lucky ones will probably already have most of their shards. From personal experience, I've cleared the raid fully twice at this point, and I've got 7 out of the 9 shards, so 1 more week should hopefully do the trick for me. The only exception here is actually the Shard of Rev. This is the blood shard that increases your leech stat. This shard can actually drop from the new world boss in the Maw, Morgoth, Tormentor of the Damned. It's the only shard that can drop outside of the raid, which means it's the only shard that absolutely everyone in the game has access to. To make use of your Shard of Domination, you'll need to slot it into a special domination socket. You can slot any shard into any domination socket, which is not the same thing as a regular gem socket. Domination sockets are available on a lot of different pieces of raid gear. That's where the vast majority of domination sockets are. Each armor type has 5 domination sockets spread across their various gear slots. Domination sockets will always be found on head, shoulders and chest pieces, as well as cloth, braces and belts, leather boots and gloves, mail belts and boots, and plate braces and gloves. So it does depend on what kind of armor you like to use, but everyone has access to a maximum of 5 domination sockets from the Sanctum of Domination raid. There is a piece of gear available from the Death's Advanced Reputation Quartermaster, as well as the Archivist's Codex Reputation Quartermaster, that does in fact have a domination socket. The Archivist's Codex Rep gear is even item level 239, that's the higher out of the 2, which is the same as a heroic raiding piece of gear. So that's one easily accessible piece of domination gear that anyone can obtain, so I would definitely work on your Archivist's Codex Rep if you do nothing else in Korthia. And then remember that there are sources of raid gear that don't involve raiding at all. The Time Walking Weekly event will reward you with a random piece of normal raid gear, and the Dungeon Weekly event will reward you with a random piece of heroic raid gear. Sure, the randomness isn't ideal, but with so many pieces of gear actually having domination sockets in the raid, there is a high chance of you getting a piece of domination gear from these weekly events. So keep an eye out for those events. They could be your ticket to another domination socket, and you might collect enough pieces to unlock a set bonus. Now you may look at the effects and power level of the various shards that drop in the raid and think, well, this doesn't seem all that significant. Are these shards really going to give me that much of a boost? And honestly, when you first get a shard, No, they probably won't. They are quite minor bonuses after all, but there's two major factors that lead to Shards of Domination being a big boost to your overall damage in the end. First, the set bonuses. If you equip all 3 shards of the same type, so all 3 Unholy, all 3 Blood, or all 3 Frost, you will trigger different rune words or set bonuses. If you have all 3 Unholy Shards, you will activate the Chaos Bane rune word. This gives your spells and abilities a chance to drain a soul fragment from your target, granting you primary stat for 30 seconds that stacks up to 15 times. When you get 15 stacks, you deal AoE damage and gain even more primary stat for 15 seconds, and then you can start your stat collecting all over again. All 3 blood shards will give you the Blood Link rune word. Whenever you damage an enemy, you establish a blood link that deals damage every 3 seconds and heals you for the damage dealt. If it overheals you, it heals an ally instead. And the last bonus is for all 3 frost shards, which is the Winds of Winter rune word. Each time you crit, the winds accumulate a percentage of the effect up to a cap. Every 20 seconds, the winds unleash, dealing damage equal to the total accumulation and shielding you for the same amount. There is one more requirement to activating a rune word. You need a specific piece of gear. You may have noticed that certain pieces of gear have the set bonus description, but it's greyed out. That's because you have to have a Helm Domination socket piece to activate Chaos Bane. It actually doesn't matter if you have all 3 Unholy Shards socketed in if you don't have a Helm piece to actually trigger the effect. The same goes for the Frost bonus. You're going to need a Shoulder Domination socket to activate Winds of Winter, and unsurprisingly, you need a chest domination socket to trigger the Blood Link rune word. So getting these rune words or set bonuses is going to take quite a bit of work and a lot of luck, but when you do get them, your Shards of Domination will grant your character even more power. It's worth noting that while every shard's passive effect works in every type of content, the rune word set bonuses are only active in specific locations. Right now they are limited to the Maw Zone, the Korthia Zone, Torghast, and the Sanctum of Domination raid. While these set bonuses will end up being quite powerful, they're only going to affect those very specific areas of the game. The second factor that increases the power potential of a Shard of Domination is the fact that you can upgrade each shard several times, and it will increase in power with every upgrade. To upgrade a Shard of Domination, you need to visit Bonesmith Heirmir in Korthia. Upgrading is fairly straightforward. You need the shard you want to upgrade, as well as some Stygian Embers. You can upgrade each shard a total of 4 times. The first upgrade will cost you 5 Stygian Embers. That takes the shard up to rank 2, or an Ominous shard. The next upgrade costs 15 Stygian Embers to take a shard up to rank 3, or to a Desolate shard. Then it's 30 Stygian Embers up to rank 4, or a Foreboding shard. And then the last upgrade costs 50 Embers for rank 5, or a Portentous shard. That means to fully upgrade a shard, it will cost you 100 Stygian Embers total. If you want to upgrade all 9 shards, that's 900 Stygian Embers, which is going to take quite a while. Each upgrade will increase the power of what each shard does, with the last upgrade having double the power of the first initial shard rank. So every upgrade will net you another boost to your overall performance. As for the Stygian Ember currency, there are a few different ways to get your hands on them. The weekly quest in Korthia, Shaping Fate, will always reward you with 10 Stygian Embers. That means if you do absolutely nothing else but this weekly quest, you'll be able to fully upgrade a shard once every 10 weeks. The other major source of Stygian Embers is the Sanctum of Domination raid, which shouldn't be too surprising. Each boss you kill will drop a handful of Stygian Embers, and then there are lots of special elite mobs and trash packs scattered around the raid that also drop Stygian Embers. Chances are, if a mob is a big elite, takes forever to kill, and it has a special name, it's gonna drop some Stygian Embers. You get more Stygian Embers for clearing a higher difficulty, both for the trash mobs and for the bosses, and you'll always get the maximum number of Stygian Embers when running higher difficulties. For example, if you run normal first, and then run heroic afterwards, you will get some Stygian Embers from normal, and then you'll also get the difference between normal and heroic when you loot a boss on heroic. On the flip side, if you do heroic first, normal will not drop any extra Stygian Embers because you already looted the max for that difficulty for the week. Basically, you only have to clear the highest difficulty to earn all of the Embers available to you. There's no reason to run a lower difficulty if all you want is more Stygian Embers. Upgrading your shards has another benefit besides just increasing their power. It will also increase the power of your set bonus. So the effectiveness of your set bonus is directly tied to the rank or tier or upgrade level of the shards that contribute to the set. So if you're using 3 unholy shards, your set bonus will increase in power when all of those shards reach rank 2. It will increase again when they all reach rank 3, and so on and so forth. So you'll have a few choices to make when it comes to upgrading your Shards of Domination. You can upgrade your DPS shards first to get those bonuses, or you can upgrade your chosen set shards at the same rate to increase the power of the set bonus, which is kind of cool. The upgrades for the set bonus seem to be quite powerful. I think it works out to be about a 50% increase in power per rank up on the set bonus, which is going to be huge if the set bonus itself is really good for you. I'll have examples on screen of how each set bonus will progress in power. The bolded numbers are the ones which will change as you rank up the set bonus, and you can see that the numbers reflect rank 1 through 5 as the number increases. So for the Winds of Winter, the final effect ends up saving 18% of your crits, up to 540 per critical strike to the AoE burst and overall absorb. The Blood set ends up dealing about 1600 shadow damage every 3 seconds and healing you for 100% of that amount. And then the Unholy set bonus, Chaos Bane, the one pretty much everyone is going after I think, that ends up granting you 30 primary stat, which stacks up to 15 times, and when you reach 15 stacks you deal 4500 shadow damage to nearby enemies, and you get 900 primary stat for 15 seconds. 900 primary stat is going to be an insane power boost. That's almost equivalent to chugging 5 primary stat potions at the same time, and you gain passive primary stat for the entire ramp up to that big burst. I don't really understand why Chaos Bane is so much more powerful when compared to the others, but with these set bonus upgrades in play, getting to that rank 5 Chaos Bane is going to be a massive power spike for every single player who uses that set bonus. Now to unlock this vendor, you have to complete chapter 4 of the Korthia storyline, which is called the Last Sigil. So if you don't see Bonesmith Heirmir down here and you have no idea why, that's probably why. You need to go finish a chapter quest. Throughout the storyline, you work with Bonesmith Heirmir to uncover some Korthia secrets, so it makes sense that he sticks around in Korthia afterwards to help you out. This chapter becomes available at Renown 44, so it should be available to almost everyone at this point, even if you haven't been keeping super up to date with your Korthia dailies. This vendor also sells one of the most important items for this entire system, the Soulfire Chisel. This item will cost you 2,500 Stygia, but you only have to buy it once, so it's not too bad overall. You can use the chisel to unsocket any Shard of Domination from a piece of gear. So if you want to swap a few pieces around, maybe change up your shard setup, or whenever you get a higher item level piece of gear with a Domination socket, you can pop your shards out of Domination sockets whenever you want, as long as you have the Soulfire Chisel, so it really is a must-have item. I have to warn you that the shard system is currently kind of dumb in that if you try to overwrite a shard like you would a typical gem, just try to place the shard over the top of one that's already in a socket, you will actually lose and destroy the socketed shard, which obviously isn't ideal considering they're a pain to get, and if you spend things upgrading them, well, you're just going to lose a bunch of progress, so do not ever try to put a shard in a socket that already has a shard. Always use the chisel to remove a shard before playing about with different setups. People have even made a weak aura to warn you about this, it's kind of getting that bad. Even if your shard is upgraded all the way to rank 5, you can completely lose it if you accidentally place a shard over the top of it, so please, please, please grab the Soulfire Chisel and make good use of it. Hopefully they fix it so you can't put shards in a full socket, because losing all that progress with a simple brain fart would be tragic, but until then, be extra cautious when taking shards in and out. Now, even though this vendor only appears after you've completed chapter 4 of the Korthia campaign, you actually don't have to complete that on every single character. As long as one of your characters has done the questline and has unlocked the vendor, the vision of Bonesmith Heirmir will appear for all other characters. It might only be a vision of the Bonesmith, but they provide all of the same services like upgrading Shards of Domination and selling the Soul Chisel. I know that a lot of this system seems to be locked behind the raid as a whole, but with the looking for raid difficulty now open, anyone can hop in for a few bosses, have a chance at some Shards of Domination and Domination gear, as well as collect a few Stygian Embers. LFR is typically very easy to work through for the most part, with the vast majority of a boss's mechanics either being much more forgiving or just removed entirely. I would recommend you hop in and see how things go, especially with how powerful Shards of Domination could end up being. You can work towards unlocking the full potential of this system just with LFR, so it's definitely worth trying at the very least. And that should cover pretty much every aspect of the system you could ever want or need to know. How to get the shards, what they do, how to trigger a set bonus, how to upgrade the shards, and how to swap them in and out of your domination gear. Hopefully I answered any questions you may have had, but what do you think of the Shard of Domination system? Is there anything that you would think should or could have been done differently to make the system better overall? Do you have any questions left over about how it all works? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to everyone who's subscribed on Twitch. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching, folks. Good luck and have fun, and as always, I will see you next time.